Hello watch enthusiasts and welcome to Watch Chronicler. As many of you will know, Watch Chronicler is working in partnership with the Swiss brand Horage to review and present their watches over the next few months. However, today's theme takes a slight departure from this brand's current collection, as Horage has decided to take a swing at high horology with their very own Tourbillon. Now, normally Horage takes a very pragmatic approach to watchmaking in terms of offering a functional and practical product, something not usually associated with the Tourbillon. Even so, to show how serious they are about watchmaking, and that you can make an affordable and practical tourbillon, they've successfully launched the Tourbillon 1. Having discussed this matter with Horage for a few months now, and having visited their facilities, I've been rather anxious to talk about what could be a very exciting development for the watch industry. I'll be very curious to hear what you think at the end of the video. Before I begin, please remember to like, share and subscribe, and follow Watch Chronicler on Instagram to catch all the latest updates for articles, podcasts and videos. Also, head over to watchchronicler.com in order to read articles ranging from new releases to historical pieces about the watches which we love. A recent article which may be of interest is a full catalogue of the watches worn in Ian Fleming's 007 novels and how they impact upon the heroes and villains of these books. When I first found out about Horage's project to create a sub 10,000 franc tourbillon, I must admit that a sense of scepticism descended over me. However, as I listened to those involved with this remarkable idea talk about it, it became very clear to me that this was truly a possibility. And so we now find ourselves with the watch complete and the first stages of pre-orders coming in. What strikes me as most impressive though is that the price now sits at 6,990 francs, or 7,290 for a COSC certified version. For these reasons, and in the first of two videos about this remarkable watch, I'd like to give you an in-depth presentation of just what's going on inside this watch and why it deserves attention from a movement perspective. In the second instalment, I will address the 39mm case, which in an assortment of executions houses the movement, and the aesthetic and construction of the watch, which is also outstanding. To understand the K2 movement at the heart of this watch, you have to consider the origins of the tourbillon itself. The story of the tourbillon began in the mid-1790s when Louis-Abraham Breguet invented it. This eminent watchmaker then patented the design in 1801 as a means of increasing the accuracy of a pocket watch. The principle here was that a pocket watch remains for most of its life upright, whether hung from its chain or in the pocket of its owner. For this reason, gravity acts only in one direction upon the escapement, thus creating an imbalance which gradually impacts the timekeeping. If the escapement and balance wheel could rotate though, it would be able to average the effect of gravity, thus enhancing the accuracy of the whole movement. Of course, today we wear watches on our wrists rather than in a pocket, thus averaging out the running inaccuracies to a much greater extent. In this context, the tourbillon is a very different device, and you can't really say that it's all about accuracy anymore. Nowadays, building, and perhaps more fundamentally designing a tourbillon, requires much greater skill than most other movements. This makes it the perfect opportunity for an up-and-coming brand to show that it takes the inner workings of its watches very seriously. Short of a minute repeater or a perpetual calendar, creating a truly practical tourbillon is about as good as it gets. The origins of the movement, which is so beautifully presented in the Tourbillon 1, are varied and quite fascinating. The functions of this movement have been kept simple, with only the hours and minutes being shown by the hands at the centre of the dial. Other than that, Horage have made a point of making this watch visually exciting from a mechanical perspective. In this aim, several very interesting elements have been incorporated, which I'll address in due course. For the creation of this movement, THE Plus, a collaboration of Horage and watch brand Theos, have worked with Le Jouperet, the high-level Swiss movement manufacturer which happens to be owned by Citizen. Previously, this Swiss company has developed the movements in Arnold & Son, Richemont and LVMH watches, including other tourbillons. As a result, this made them a perfect candidate to work with THE Plus on this project. What strikes me as interesting is the fact that since the beginning of work on their in-house industrial and modular movement, the K1, as in other watches in the Horage range, THE Plus has been driven by the minds of people with experience from other Swiss brands such as ETA, Eterna and also Le Jouperet. This makes the Tourbillon 1 the product of a range of very serious backgrounds. Aesthetically, this movement has been carefully worked by Horage to fit within the aesthetics of the brand. Most notably, the visible plates on the upper and lower sides of the movement serve an aesthetic function as well as a way to keep the gears in place. These have been cut out and finished to THE Plus's specifications to showcase the shapes present in the Horage logo and in the applied luminous plots on the chapter ring around the edge. The cutouts also enable the user to see into the movement and to follow the motion of the watch from the mainspring through the tourbillon to the hands. As I'll explain in more depth in the second video, This movement is also available in a comprehensive range of colours for all tastes, which, to my eye, are rather transformative with regards to the overall appearance of the watch. And this all comes together to create a look reminiscent of the Horage Array, but as a sort of bigger brother. Still speaking about the mainspring, if you turn the watch over and look through the exhibition caseback, you're given an exceptional view of even more of the inner workings. In a movement as aesthetically driven as this one, there's an awful lot of detail to note, but a favourite aspect of mine is the ratchet wheel of the mainspring, which, raised above the rest of the movement, has a sunburst finish. It's also cut out to maintain a view of the spring and all the way through the movement. The more eagle-eyed amongst you will also have noticed the sculptural and elongated click spring which engages directly with it to keep the watch wound as you wind it up via the crown. Moving along the gear train, the gears appear suspended in the lattice of the cut-out plates, which incidentally are beveled, something usually seen on watches far in excess of the 7,000 francs for this piece. Of course, this isn't a Philippe Dufour, but it's remarkable nonetheless, as it's not trying to be one, but rather something more modern and a perfect way to bring this decoration, as with the compilation of the tourbillon incidentally, to a new audience. Finally, one arrives at the tourbillon itself. Now, this watch actually doesn't use a standard tourbillon either, but instead a flying tourbillon, which is anchored in place only at the bottom. This can be seen from the back where a screwed chaton holds the jewel. The result from the front is a tourbillon seemingly floating and which rotates around the 4 Hz balance wheel, a higher beat rate than seen on many more expensive tourbillons. Horizontally engaged to the gear train, you also see the energy held by the spring move through the tourbillon, a very inspiring sight as all is visible on one level rather than being hidden. However, aside from assembling the movement, THE Plus has also added something else of itself to this movement, the escapement. You see, THE Plus have become synonymous with offering silicon escapements, which significantly reduce the friction at this crucial point in the movement. Those familiar with their K1 movement will know what I mean, and I encourage you to take a look at my video on the matter if you don't, that THE Plus have worked to perfect these escapements for accurate everyday use, despite still being an exotic technology. As a result, the benefits of low friction and amagnetism can improve upon the tourbillon. Consequently, the power reserve is a full 72 hours, despite the need to rotate the tourbillon and to run at a higher beat rate. To emphasise just how impressive this all is, I think that it's worth noting that the closest Swiss-made flying tourbillon is the Tag Heuer Carrera Heuer 02T, a watch costing 14,900 Swiss francs, and which was unprecedented at that price when first released. Of course, that's a very different watch, and which uses the tourbillon as a complication to elevate the overall watch. By contrast, I see the Tourbillon 1 as a piece which encourages you to savour the complication instead and to enjoy it, something quite rare. This is of course without taking into account the design and construction of the rest of the watch, which remains for my second instalment to present. Anyway, I'll conclude the video there, but do tell me what you think of this tourbillon after a tour of its uncommon and rather fascinating movement. I think that it's an extremely exciting project and one which, once this production run has sold out, whether at this stage of pre-order or the next when the price will be higher, it won't be made again, thus making it something of an oddity certainly in the history of the tourbillon and also in the overall view the market has towards this complication. Thank you very much for watching, and remember to like, share and subscribe. This is Armon from WatchChronicler.com. Out.